Today's episode of DRL is brought to you by Hella Cocktail Company. My guests don't just come to DRL for me. They also come for the cocktails. Luckily, my friends at Hella Cocktail Company have my back. These guys make amazing mixes, from Bloody Mary to Margarita to Moscow Mule. They also make cocktail bitters, my secret ingredient, and now yours too. It's easy to feel like the best bartender in town when every bottle comes with a simple recipe on it. Hella Cocktail Company, bold flavor, real ingredients, hospitality. Mixing it up since 2011. Shop the collection on Amazon Prime or use code DRL online at hellacocktail.co for free shipping. Hello, my lovely listeners. Welcome back to another episode of DRL, where we're talking everything dating, relationships, and love. I'm your host, Tennesha Wood. So I have one of DRL's favorite guests with me, my mom, Sonia Wood. Hi, Mom.
Hi, my daughter.
Nice to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
You know, you're one of the most requested guests on DRL.
Amazing. Makes me feel awesome.
Yeah, people are always wondering about when you're coming back on, and they love the episodes you're on. So thank you for coming back on. We're going to do listener questions today. That's why I wanted to have you back, because, you know, your opinion is needed out there, Mom.
Really?
Yeah. You're a wise one. Are you enjoying having me and Travis back home?
Oh, my God. I love that. That's the best part.
Yeah? What's so great about it?
Just having the family getting together, eating, playing Scrabble, and although I never won, but...
So losing Scrabble.
But sometimes I'm in second place, which is not winning, but I'm not the total loser.
So Chris just left. Chris was also here for a couple weeks, but he went home back to Puerto Rico a little bit before me. You miss him already, huh?
I really do. I like him a lot. And he's a good cook, too.
He is a good cook. He made us lobster the other night. That was really good.
And
some halibut.
It was good.
Yeah, so
I missed him, actually.
I know you do, because every day I FaceTime with Chris, and my mom is like, Chris, what did you eat today?
Hope he can come every summer.
Well, Chris has already made the plan and said that we could spend a good chunk of our summer here, and then you guys can come spend a good chunk of the winter holidays in Puerto Rico, where it's nice.
Yeah.
So he's down.
Yeah. And I have the opportunity of meeting Travis' girlfriend, too, Amanda.
Oh, yeah. So my brother also brought his girlfriend. This was sort of Chris has been here. Chris has come here every summer since we've been together, but this was your first time meeting Travis's girlfriend. So how was that?
She's nice as well. I like her, too.
Well, you lucked out that you actually like your kids' partners.
Yeah, that's good.
Actually, you know what? That brings me to our first question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious on your thoughts on this.
Okay.
So this one is from Mary. Mm-hmm. And Mary says, I can't stand my MIL, which is mother-in-law, and I've given her every chance in the world to be a decent human being. When my husband and I first met, things were cool. I can't say that she's ever been an extremely warm person, but it seems that the more serious my husband and I became, the more her attitude towards me shifted. Fast forward 5 years later, we are married with 2 children, and now she's just plain nasty. At times, she acts like I'm not even in the room. She will do things at family gatherings like offer everyone a plate except me. I've spoken with my husband about this time and time again, and he makes excuses for her behavior, saying older folks are just stuck in their ways. I can't stand being around her, and I cringe at the thought of having to go see her. Should I confront her directly or just continue to avoid her?
I think you should confront her. She should.
I think so, too.
Because communication is the key. Whether it's a job, when it's a relationship, you don't communicate, you're not knowing what the other person is thinking. And so she probably might think the same, that you're stuck in your way too.
I think it's just plain disrespectful is what it sounds like. So whether this is your mother-in-law or a friend or a stranger or somebody at your job, like, I don't think it's ever okay to normalize disrespect. Like, you can't just say, oh, somebody's stuck in their ways. I mean, things like acting like you're not even in the room.
Well, it's both sides, Tennesha. We don't know her side either, and so she could be thinking the same thing. Like, this girl is pretty rude to me, and so we don't hear it from both sides. We can't even judge. So she would have to elaborate a little bit more for me to understand it clearly. Not that I'm on the mother-in-law side, but I feel like she should communicate with her mother-in-law sit her down and explain to her that you're really not losing a son. You're actually gaining a daughter. And so let it goes down to kind of a little bit personal so she will feel a little more welcoming in the relationship.
But it sounds like things started off fine, but it sounds like as they progressed and things started to get more serious, she really felt like, you know, she was losing her son and is taking that out on the wife.
Sometimes when kids involved, now it's a different situation. Maybe the daughter-in-law is expecting more from the mother-in-law, like to be a babysitter. And so, again, it might change depending on the new situation. So with having kids, her expectation as a daughter-in-law might even change. And so with that said, I would have to know a little bit more. Just because she might be thinking, you know, I'm going to the movie with my husband. She didn't offer to babysit. And
Right.
so she can have some stuff stuck in her head as well that she's putting out onto the mother-in-law for the mother-in-law behavior to suddenly change. So it's a little bit of both, I think. So they need to sit down, find out what it is that both parties are doing wrong, and maybe the mother-in-law might tell her something that she didn't know of herself.
Right.
And so communication is the key there.
I also think that we need to address this idea of ownership over people, like the idea of,
Yes.
you know, I'm losing my son now, you know, or I'm losing my husband to my mother-in-law. Like nobody owns anybody
Yes.
to begin with.
Yes.
So yes, you produced this child and brought them into the world, but there's no like, this is my son. And so he can only hold the title of my son and not as your husband. I think like this whole idea of ownership of people really needs to come to a halt.
And that's why they have to sit down and communicate, including the husband as well.
And I also don't like the husband's attitude of you just kind of sweeping it under the rug or saying like, oh, you know how old people are. Like, that's not cool. I don't care if you're old or young or 12 or 92, like disrespect is never okay.
No.
But again, you're right. We don't know what both sides are doing.
Yeah.
How would you address it with the mother-in-law if you were the daughter-in-law?
I would just say to her, when we just met, things were cool, and now I realize we're falling apart. I just want to hear your side of what I'm doing wrong and how we can correct it. And moving from there, she will, depends on the mood she's in. So don't bring it up in a bad time, and bring it up a time wherein we had a perfect day. Sort of, not perfect, but
Sounds like they don't have any perfect day.
no, like a day wherein it wasn't so awful.
Right.
So that way, you can bring her closer to you in that space.
What would you do if, say, Travis or I married somebody that you just weren't fond of and didn't like?
Well, knowing me,
You got lucky because we actually chose people you like.
If I didn't like the person earlier on, I'm the type of person who express really early on. So I wouldn't pretend to like that person, and then later on, I'm not liking. I would say, I've noticed this, that. At the end of the day, it's up to you. But at the same time, if you are getting on with the person, I would feel like I would want you to be happy. So I would just keep my space, but I wouldn't all over.
But I mean, there's realistically times where you can't keep your space. It's particularly when there's like children involved. So then there's, grandchildren. But let's say you didn't like Chris or Amanda as much as you do. And, there's kids and now we're coming around for holidays. Like, how do you act in those situations?
I would make the best of it. They're my grandkids. And I wouldn't want to be feuding over if I love my kids and my grandkids enough, I would have to overlook the negative and more focus on the positive. So for me personally, I might not like, but I wouldn't want to just make it so negative that the person don't want to be around me at all.
Right.
So I would compromise somehow.
Let's be honest, Mom. If I married somebody that you didn't like, I would hear about it every time I was around you.
Well, no.
Maybe not while they're around, but you would call me as soon as I left the house and be like, oh my God, did you see what he did? I don't, blah, 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 blah. Don't act like you wouldn't.
I would. But I mean, within that space, I wouldn't let him or her be uncomfortable when we're trying to have a family get together.
But that would make your child uncomfortable and continually knowing that you weren't fond of their spouse. Like, that wouldn't be comfortable. But you're also not the type to keep your mouth shut about it.
I'm not the type. That's a good thing.
But would you be
good and bad?
But would you be willing to do that? Because here's the thing. Again, we don't know the full situation here, but I'm guessing that maybe this man is often hearing from his mother, I don't really like your wife. Every time there's an interaction or they see each other, he's probably hearing that from his mother. And that's uncomfortable.
Yeah, but if she can tell what it is that she didn't like, and he can address that, if he is honest enough to evaluate the situation as it is and not take one side, then we could resolve anything. Because if I bring something to you honestly and you could look at it and like, what he did really wasn't right or what she did wasn't, then we can move from there. But if both of us decided that we're not going to be honest, we're going to dilly-dally around this, whatever it is, then nothing will be resolved.
I would never marry somebody you didn't like, not because it's your decision, but only because you would just annoy me all the time with it, and I know you would.
Good job. I love that.
Or, alternatively, I would marry them but never bring them around.
And that wouldn't be nice either. So, we're on the same page. And put it this way. I know, honestly, that you respect my judgment as well.
I do respect
your judgment. And so, with that said, you're going to lean towards somebody that I like.
Have I ever dated anybody that you straight up didn't like? Because just so everybody out there knows, a part of my evaluation process of boyfriends is they all have to come to Minnesota. So this is when I lived in California, when I lived in New York, no matter where I live, there's always a point where I'm like, let's go to Minnesota. So is there anybody I've brought here who you've just been like, oh God, no?
Yes.
Why? I have a feeling of who you're talking about, but I won't put him on blast. But why did you not like that particular person?
He didn't seem like he was his true self.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like he wasn't being, I don't know, it seemed like he was hiding something.
Mm-hmm.
And I could sense that he wasn't real, he was fake. And that one I could tell. Although I treated him nice, but the back of my head, I said, this one isn't the one. Others I said, maybe I could work with.
I could work with that person if necessary.
Yeah, but one particular one, I could tell deep down that this one was not the right one. I even shared this with my husband, and, he's not a big talker. And I said to him, something deep down inside of me just don't like this one. I think he is phony. He almost want to be like a big shot when he's not there yet. Sort of. I just didn't feel the vibes.
So my mom's famous saying is, "My spirit just not take him."
Yeah, my spirit just not take you.
That's Jamaican for I don't necessarily have a reason and I can't pinpoint exactly what that person may have done,
exactly.
But my spirit is not into it.
Yeah, my spirit wasn't digging that one at all.
Well, luckily that's not where we ended up.
Exactly.
Let's move to question 2 here. Next question is from Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I've been listening to DRL since season 1, and one of the things that you constantly say is that no one should be married before 30. I'm starting to understand why you say that. I started dating my husband in high school. We also attended the same college and got married at 24, and then got a job working at the same company. Most of our lives have been spent together, and our lives are very intertwined. Nothing is wrong per se. I've just been feeling blah, particularly during quarantine. It's the same thing, day in, day out, the same people, the same routine. I find myself yearning to explore other people and the world in general. If Corona has taught me anything, it's that life is short and I feel like I'm not living it. I have a good life, but I feel it should be great. Am I asking too much?
I don't think it's the age thing. She could marry at 34 and still have the same issue.
You can have the same issues at 34 that you could at 24.
Yeah.
But I think at 24, you don't know yourself and the world well enough yet to make a lifelong decision.
That's true. That's true. But it almost seems like it's not the decision I don't think so. I think they have a communication problem. So whatever she's feeling and whatever she's yearning for, did she express this to the husband?
I don't know. She didn't say all that.
It could be more that she wants, but he doesn't know. He doesn't know what she wants. He's not a mind reader. And so she could probably marry someone else and realize it's even worse. So I would advise her to work with what she has first. And then if it's not working out, then if she wants to move on from there, fine. But give what she has the best shot.
She is actually, I think, living my worst nightmare. My worst nightmare would have been to not explore the world, not explore myself, and then just kind of went with the first person because they were around or it was what was expected or it was just the next logical step. But I really feel like you can't love another person. Like you truly can't until you love yourself. And you can't love yourself until you know yourself. And you can't know yourself until you've had the opportunity to do different things, like to be in different elements. Like, you know, it sounds like she's kind of just trapped in this world of I went to school and then I got married and we work at the same company, and her whole identity seems to be intertwined in them, not her. Like, it doesn't sound like this is some horrible guy. It just sounds like she kind of just got accidentally trapped in this life that she didn't necessarily mean to. It wasn't deliberate, is what it sounds like. It sounds like she didn't wake up and say, hey, I want to marry this person. I want to take this job. It sounds like it just all sort of happened and she just got caught up in what was happening. And 24 is just way too young. I will say it again. Do not get married before 30. If the person that you are supposed to be with is really the person you are supposed to be with, they'll be there when you turn 32.
Yeah, but I think now she's with him and she seems like she loved him and they love each other. She just has to like start dating him over as a 30-year-old, go on trips, doing different things, and make it more excited. If it doesn't work from there, then she can move on and explore other people. But for now, the grass is not always greener on the other side, honey.
But I agree. I think she should at least bring it to him. Like
Yeah.
she owes him their history and their time and their love. She does owe him the benefit of being honest and expressing what she actually wants and seeing if that is something that he can be on the same page with.
Yeah. Because even when you're married at 32, after a while it gets old and boring anyway. So you have to always doing new things to keep the relationship going.
But don't you agree, though, that you know yourself more now than you did at 24?
It's just life lesson. As you get older, you're going to learn more things. Nothing new about that. That's just natural.
I look at it like this. Like now at 36, I can walk into a relationship, a room, a job, anywhere and say, this is who Tennesha is. These are my expectations. This is what I want. This is what I don't. And it's made extremely clear from the beginning who I am. Like there's going to be very few surprises that come up. Whereas when I was 24, you know, I might have started a job and not been particularly sure about how I wanted things to flow, might have let things go. I might have been unclear about my needs. You know, you're just more unsure. And so I think when you get into a relationship in that way, it's no one's fault because you just weren't clear because you didn't know yourself.
I understand, but just like a job, you get to a job, you didn't know the job, but after experience, you get to know the job. Well, the relationship is the same. You're getting to know each other. And so you have to find out likes and dislikes and communicate. So I'm not on the same page with you about the 30 thing. I just feel like whatever you have to work with it, do new things, and communication is the key.
Okay, what if I had married the guy I was with at 24?
That's you. What applied to you doesn't apply to everyone else. And so,
but I'm saying, what if we would have all stayed at the job we had at 24, got married to the guy we liked at 24? I just think it's too early to make lifelong decisions. Like, yes, try things out. Date a guy at 24 and then be like, cool, he's cool or he's great. But
some people are boring and they're comfortable with all that.
Okay.
Some people, that's not what they want. And they found out later in life, that's not what I want. But believe it or not, Tennesha, some people want to marry at 21, have 4 kids, and just go to church and be that type of person.
And I get that. And I
so
understand
it's
that.
not everyone want to be have the life of exploring and do all that. With this young lady, if she truly loved the man and the man truly loved her, they have to look at ways. Just not looking at somebody else. Because when something is broken, don't tell me it doesn't fix like that.
Right. I agree with that.
And a lot of people think, okay, oh, this is not working. I go to the next person, or I go to the next level, or I go. It doesn't work that way. Try to fix what you have first. If you cannot fix it, then I recommend go explore yourself.
Agreed. We'll agree to disagree on the age thing, but I agree with what you're saying about her needing to communicate this with him and giving him a shot to possibly correct it and see where they're both at.
Yes, but she has to. And just, because of quarantine, they're locked up, yes. So now they can think of things in which they're seeing the relationship is lacking. Maybe it's an opportunity for them. So they should use it to better their relationship, not exactly to look outside of the relationship.
Our last question is from Roy. For a long time, I was not in a place to settle down and had a reputation of being a player or a ladies' man. I'm 37 now and ready for something serious. The problem is that no one takes me seriously. And when I ask my female friends to hook me up with their friends, they say they wouldn't put a woman through my BS. I have changed and I'm really ready. Can you hook me up?
Oh, you can hook her up. You're a coaching, you're a dating coaching lady. You can hook her up pretty right.
What's a guy? It sounds like Roy has been living in a way for a really long time that has let people know, I don't want a relationship. It's not something for me, because he was acting in such a way. Mm-hmm. But just because you say something, it doesn't automatically negate, the last 10, 15 years or however long you've been acting like that. And people now are automatically, supposed to be like, oh yeah, I'll hook you up with one of my friends. Like, that's not how that works. Like, it took you 10 years to build the reputation you had. And you were showing that, you were being that. And so now people aren't just going to believe you when you say, oh, I've changed and I'm ready.
Okay. So
you got to show that.
So that's what I was going to say. So how long has he claimed he has been changed?
Well, we don't know that part yet, but it definitely takes time. It took time to build your previous reputation. It's going to take time to build your new brand and reputation.
I'm really seriously wondering if he did change, because your friends would have noticed some change in you.
Right.
So without you telling them that you have changed, they would say to you, oh my God, you have changed so much. I've noticed XYZ about you.
Right.
If the friends haven't said anything about it and still questioning it, I'm seriously wondering if he has really changed.
Has there really been any change?
Yes.
No, I would have to agree with you. And the thing is, too, if you're a woman that's a good enough friend to another woman, you're not going to hook them up with somebody that in the past has had that reputation and you've seen it for yourself.
Yeah, people can have reputation, but as a friend, you would notice the change. And that's all I'm saying, that if he truly, truly changed,
people would know.
People would notice. And they would say to you, I have seen this change in you. I feel I can hook you up now. He wouldn't have to even reach out to them. They would have reached out to him.
Right.
So I think he wants to change, but I don't seriously believe he really has changed.
When I used to work at corporate,
yeah,
we always had this thing about your representatives. Yeah. So basically, who's in the room speaking for you when you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
So when it came time for, reviews, promotions, raises, etc., you didn't always have access to the people at the top that were making these decisions, but perhaps your boss did, or your mentor did, or somebody in the chain was in the room that you weren't. And so I think on a personal basis, the same thing applies. So who are your representatives that are speaking for you when you're not in the room? Who are the people that are actually saying, oh, yeah, he's definitely changed. I've seen that in him. Like, who can speak up for you? Yeah. And if the answer is no one, is it really true that you have?
Exactly. I'm still doubting or questioning it, just because your friend seems like they would know you best.
Right.
And if they're still questioning it, I'm on the friend side.
So I guess, Roy, I can't hook you up until your friends at least
vouch for you.
Vouch for you. Because I won't hook you up with any of my clients if that's still what you're out there doing.
Yeah.
Do you believe people really can change, though?
Yeah, people can change, for sure. You have to accept, though, the behavior you have in order for you to change. So if you're living in a lie, you can't change. You have to accept your past in order to move forward in your present.
Would you date a guy who was like this, who said, in the past, I was a complete womanizer and I was out there and I never wanted anything serious. I never wanted to settle down. It was all about the next woman and the next one and the next one.
Yeah, if he's honest to say that was my past and this is who I am now and I'm seeing that in him, nothing wrong with that. Everyone has a past, and so people can change. So I think everyone should have a fair shot.
And I think what you're saying is right, though. Like, you at least have to recognize it. Like, you have to say, this is what I was doing.
Yeah.
And this is why I've outgrown that. And this is why I want something new. Yeah. But sometimes when people get to a certain age, he's a guy, he's 37. They get to a certain age and it's like, oh, everybody around me has now settled down and maybe it's time. But I don't think that's the reason you should settle down. Just because everybody around you has, until you're actually ready, like that's what you want for you.
I think they have some guys who tell themselves, I'm a player for a while. And in their mind, I'm not ready for kids yet. I'm not ready for a family. They're just so into themselves and being selfish. And so they go out there and all they're thinking of is having fun. At some point, the fun going to get boring and it's over. And when they look at their friends that they're having a nice life, a nice family, probably it's hitting him that I'm 37, I'm not having that. So I should at least change my life and experience some of that.
But I still don't think that's a reason to do it. A reason to want something isn't, well, everybody else has that thing and they seem happy. Like, that shouldn't be a reason.
It's something that probably he wants a long time ago. He was just selfish enough to want more of whatever behavior he has. He wants to date multiple people. And so he realized that gets old now, and I'm really done with that. So people can change.
But do you think that is a sign of like a younger phase or immaturity?
Could be.
Or do you believe that that's just who some people are? Like, they're going to be like that for the rest of their life where, they always want the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and thing meaning person.
Oh, definitely. You have people like that. They will never satisfy with any one person. But then you have some people, there's a phase they go through that they realize, you know what, I'm done, I'm over this. So again, it goes to the individual. Just know what you want in life and identify it early so you just don't waste your time or anybody else's time.
That's real. What would be your advice for me? Anything I should change? I know what you're thinking, Mom. You're like, oh my God, she's perfect.
What could you change? You're a little too perfect. And so sometimes the perfection might get in the way.
What do you mean by that?
Because you want everything done a certain way. And sometimes you have to be mindful that other people not thinking the same way you are thinking. And so your perfection is not their perfection.
That's real.
And so you probably have to be mindful and work on that.
But here's the thing about my perfection, if you will, right? I don't actually expect it from anybody else. See, that's the thing. So when I want things a certain way, I don't expect anybody to give it to me that certain way. I will say it.
But you expect it to be maintained a certain way, so you're expecting it, isn't it?
From me, right?
So if you live with Chris, for instance, and you have your house a certain way, and Chris changed it to his way, are you happy with it? Well, or you expect him to maintain it?
Well, I think we would set a standard that works for the both of us, right?
No, you're going to set your standard and thinking that it's going to work for both of you.
No, Mom. Okay.
Did you ask him his input?
For example, Chris is...
I have to ask Chris on this one.
Yes, ask Chris. But as we rounded out quarantine, so there was like March, April, and I think March and April, because I wanted to maintain my standard of a clean home, I did everything. Literally, I did everything every day. And it didn't bother me at first, right? And then after a while, I was like, okay, I mean, if we're going to both be here all day, every day together, we're going to have to switch some things up. So Chris was doing the dishes more. Now, the thing with me is when I wake up, I like to wake up to a clean house.
Yeah.
I don't like, it's just, it can set my day off in a really bad way if I wake up to a dirty house. Like my home generally reflects my insides.
But I'm going to say
So if my home is dirty, things are going on in my mind. So I generally like to wake up like that. But he is like, oh, I'll do the dishes. And, he'll like be on the couch working and then he might fall asleep. And Chris, he kind of works in a weird way. Mm-hmm. And then, he'll be like, but I'll be sure to get it done, but before you wake up. And sometimes I'd wake up and he wouldn't be awake yet and there's dishes and things. But I honestly was like, I got to a point where I just said, you know what? He's eventually going to do it because I'm not going to do it because I said this was your thing that you were going to do and I'm not going to do it. And I will let you do it in your own way and in your own time.
Because his mind can be focusing in his own way because he might get up and he might be like, you know what? I got up and I'm so focused on doing something that my mind is set on at this point. I
know. And that's the way he thinks.
I can't afford to go wash dishes now and lose my thought.
No, I completely understand that. And I understand the way that he thinks.
You might get up and go like, you know what? I got up and I wanted to do dishes and have a clean house. His thoughts are like, you know what? This is what I have to get done. I slept last night and this was on my mind. I'm just going to go right ahead and I'm going to get into it.
But the one problem with Chris, though, that we still have to work through. So if I wake up in the morning then, right? Mm-hmm. And there would be days where I'm like, I just can't start my day like this. Like I can't focus on getting my work done because I'm just seeing a pile of dishes and that's all I could think about. And then I would just do them. And then when he realized several hours later, he'd be like, why did you do them? I said I was going to do them. And now I was going to, and I'm like, because I needed them done then to have my day be productive.
And so
he needs to not be mad if, it's not done in the time that
I do not think he's mad, but I just feel like he felt like you think he's inadequate regarding the dishes. And so because he had made the promise to do it, he's not mad about you doing the dishes. He just felt like you think that he doesn't stick by his words.
Oh, and that's not the case at all. I just wanted it done like in that moment.
I understand because I have similar traits, but it's not the best traits to have.
Hold on 1 second, Mom. Let's actually call Chris and ask him his thought on this.
Okay.
Hold on.
Hear what Chris had to say here.
Do you have a second?
I don't actually. Sorry.
Oh,
it's to get on my last call.
Oh, okay. It's all good. Okay, bye.
I'll call you back.
Okay. All right, so we can't get Chris on the line at the moment.
Okay.
He's focused right now.
Okay, yep. Maybe the dishes are there.
I'm pretty sure he's at home with dishes in the sink right now as we speak.
That's okay. So what I'm trying to say is that you might be perfect in your way and he might be perfect in his own ways.
I get that.
So you have to, that's the thing that I think you can work on, just to realize that not everyone perfection is the same.
I get that.
As you always say, like, it's the system is made up of certain way that we believe we have to follow.
Right.
So you probably grew up in a system that was there that you think it's the right system.
You put the system there, Mom. You can't blame me for the system that you created.
Doesn't mean that it's the right system, but it was a system that worked.
Right.
And so probably Chris wasn't brought up in that system. So whatever Chris is doing worked for him as well. So
I was brought up in systemic cleanism. And now I just can't stop.
As I'm getting older, even now, as you can tell downstairs, I felt like, okay, I wanted to clean that up before I come upstairs to do it. But at the same time, I said to myself, it will get done. When I was younger, I would delay this podcast to clean that kitchen up.
But Mom, you're 20 some years my senior, so it's going to take me 20 more years to get there.
Yeah. So I realized, like, in life, it's not the most important thing, unless it was really filthy, dirty, but it's something that can clean up in 20 minutes. It's not going to hurt anything.
I have to tell you a funny story. When Chris and I first started dating, this is when we lived in New York, one time I just was like, you know what? If I just continue doing this all the time, it will never stop. And I'm just not going to do it. So if he wants to live in filth, we'll live in filth, right?
Yeah.
And I just didn't clean anything. I was like, I'm not doing the dishes. I'm not cleaning the tub. Like this house could be as messy as you want it to be.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, it wasn't bothering him. It was just bothering me. I don't think he noticed.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
But so Travis came over one day, and, you know, Travis knows me very well. So after he was about to leave, he was like, oh, can you walk me downstairs? And I was like, yeah. So I'm about to walk him down to the lobby. And he goes, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, why? He was like, it's just the house is so messy and you don't usually. So I just wanted to make sure you were okay.
and Travis is not the most tidiest person.
Travis basically did the blink twice if something's wrong. Hold on one second. This is Chris. Hey.
Hey, they pushed it back a couple minutes.
Oh, okay. We're doing the podcast, but we needed your opinion on something.
Oh, okay.
So I asked my mom if there's something I should change about myself. And she said, you know, you have your own idea of perfection and you have to learn to deal with the fact that other people's idea of perfection is different for them, you know, i.e. how you always want things clean and perfect. And like, that's just not realistic for everybody. And so I said that I have really changed, right? Like I'm a little bit more open now, and she didn't necessarily believe me. So I just wanted to get your honest take.
Honest take now, Chris.
I think that you want to change.
Okay.
That you think that you've changed more than you actually might have, but it's all progress.
Good.
But
That's what
also
I
that
thought.
you don't have to change if you don't want to. But also just know that there will always be back and forth annoyance. You'll get annoyed. Other people will get annoyed and back and forth.
It's progress.
Okay. That's what he said. He said a
They're
little.
on now, so I love you.
Okay, love you too. So see, Mom, a little bit of progress.
Well, it's a little bit of progress. So that's the thing you could work on.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris agreed somewhat. But you're a neat freak and he isn't. It's going to annoy him for the both of us.
Right.
For you, I should say. So what's your plan? Knowing his view and take on it now. What's your plan in changing?
Here's the thing, Mom. I really do think that with everybody,
There's something.
First of all, yeah, with everybody it is something. Second thing is you have to accept the good with the bad, right?
Yep.
So Chris loves it that I plan everything out and he doesn't have to think about it sometimes. Like he loves it when he's like, hey, we should go do something this weekend. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to go to this place and we're going to go do that. And I rented the car here and we're going to do that and blah, 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 blah. He loves that about
And I
me.
love that about you, Dad,
Right.
because I don't have to do that either.
Exactly. But part of that, what comes with that is me also being like, so I like everything where it's supposed to be in its perfect condition. And that's just, so it's a part of the same trait is what I'm saying. So you can't say,
Take part of it.
you can't say, oh my, I just love how you just plan everything out and I can sit back and relax and not think about that. But please stop wanting everything clean. Like it doesn't work like that. So once you like a certain trait about a person, you have to understand that that trait just doesn't bring things that you deem positive. It might also bring things that you deem negative. So you take the full spectrum of it. If I'm on the far right, he's on the far left. I think both of us are moving closer and closer to the middle.
Okay.
In a way that's beneficial for the both of us.
So if you were gone for 2 months,
Mm-hmm.
would be the system maintained itself?
I don't know. I've never been gone for that long. Funny story though, I remember when we first started living together, I went on a trip to California. It was one of my friend's birthdays.
Yeah.
And I went on a trip and then I like to clean before I go on vacation. Like I like it when I get home.
Likewise here.
Yeah,
Understood.
everything is clean. I don't want to come home to any mess, right?
Yeah.
I had FaceTimed him and I could see in the background that there was like dishes on the counter and just stuff looked a mess. And in my mind, I was like, first of all, I didn't leave it like that. Second of all, I don't want to come home to that. And my friends was like, yo, you are crazy. But I was like, you know what? I was like, I understand this. He doesn't understand my expectations. He doesn't get it yet. We're new. We're just moving in together. He doesn't get it. So what I'm going to do is send him a very specific list of everything that needs to be done prior to my arrival.
Mm-hmm.
And that way everybody's on the same page. You can't get what you want if you don't ask for what you want. And they were like, girl, are you crazy? You can't send this man this list. Because it was very extensive. And
That's what I'm talking about.
but I say all that to say progress. I wouldn't send a list like that now, 3 years later.
Okay, that's good.
So that's progress.
That's progress, right?
Because now
there.
he just knows I don't need to send a list. No, I'm kidding. Oh, so yeah, Mom, we're both making progress.
Well, that's good. In life, you just have to make progress. Baby steps. Get there. Hopefully.
Okay, I got to progress rather to a client call, so we got to head out.
Okay, well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. We're still waiting on your podcast to drop.
I know.
Sonia Says.
Sonia Says, well, we'll go take baby steps like we're doing now. If the viewers or the listeners keep on liking it, then Sonia Says will come along.
Okay, all right, we're waiting. What's your Instagram again? SRW
Hislop.
SRW Hislop is Sonia on Instagram. And you guys can reach me at Tennesha Wood on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So please reach out and let me know what you think of today's show. And until next time, wish me love. Hello again, my lovely listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of DRL. If you like the show, be sure to go on iTunes and leave a rating and also write a review. And don't forget to share with your friends and tell them all about DRL. Thank you so much for supporting.